The aim of Black Mental Matters is to tell experiences with honesty. Therefore, some discussions may trigger an adverse reaction. If a discussion is beginning to upset you, we advise that you please stop listening and talk to your support team.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we are once again. It's that man, it's that lady, it's Vince the Voice, Coach Makeba, and it's Black Mental Matters, the podcast designed to eradicate the stigma as it relates to mental health in the Black and in the entire community. How you doing, Makeba?
I'm doing great, Vince. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month. It's still May, and you and I are still celebrating by being upbeat, positive about this month as we bring awareness to mental health concerns and issues in our community.
That's right. It seems like there's no bigger topic at this time. I know there's a lot going on in the world, but when you're talking about people having struggles everywhere in their homes, at their jobs, in the community, social media, this topic of mental health and what we're going to do in America, especially at a time too where unfortunately they talk about cutting funding for it. So we don't want to get political at this time, but please call your folks and say, don't do it. Put more money into it, please.
Yes. We definitely need ongoing and increasing support for mental health. Absolutely.
That's right. And so again, Makeba, appreciate you so much. We talk again offline, and we decided that this episode in particular was very important. We actually visited this. We had a doctor on previously that talked about the word empathy, and I still love that word. It was trauma hurts, empathy heals, and so we're remixing it. We come back to this word empathy. It was very important to you, very important to me. Why did you think, Makeba, that it was important for us to discuss this?
Yeah, well, I think it's important right now, particularly just because there's so much going on and people, it sort of feels like a lot of people are emotionally sheltering in. I know a lot of people that, like myself, have avoided the news. Like they avoid social media. They feel like everything that, um, they get in contact with as far as just news and outlets and media, that it's just overwhelming for them right now. And so a lot of people are just experiencing like this exhaustion of just being overwhelmed. And a lot of that has to do with individuals that are identified as being empaths.
Impact.
So
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to talk about this today, because I've been talking to a lot of people, colleagues, friends, family members that share the same concern and feel like empathy or being empathic or deeply feeling is a burden at this time, especially with everything that's going on. And I have also felt that in the past up until recently. And I had like a really great revelation concerning it that I wanted to share. So that's why I'm really excited about this episode.
So let's set the table. First of all, what is empathy? And there's definition that says it's the ability to emotionally understand what other people feel, see things from their point of view, and imagine yourself in their place, essentially putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and feeling what they're feeling. Take it back even further, Miss Makeba, since you got all, letters behind your name. I know a few things too. Term was first introduced in 1909 by psychologist Edward B. Titchener as a translation of the German term Einfühlung, which means feeling into. So it means that, when you see another person suffering, such as after they've had a loss of a loved one, you can envision yourself going through that same experience and feel what they are going through.
Absolutely. And I love that you just broke all that down. So you didn't need any degrees or letters after your name. I didn't know that. So thank you for sharing that with me. And thank you for just bringing all of this up, because a lot of people are feeling exhausted right now and they think that it's something wrong with them, that there's some weakness within them. And a lot of people are feeling as if they need to sort of harden themselves or to create a shell around their emotions to insulate themselves. And that's like the last thing you should be doing right now. So I'm glad that we're opening up about this and having this conversation in this space within the mental health perspective.
Well, for many, seeing somebody else, a friend, or just other people in pain and responding with indifference or even outright hostility, and that's, we see that it seems like that could be incomprehensible. But the fact is that some people do respond in such a way, clearly demonstrating that empathy is not necessarily a universal response. Everybody doesn't have that empathy, to the suffering of others. And so if you're wondering, listener, viewer, if you're empathetic and as Makeba says, an empath, couple signs that show that you have this tendency. One is that you're good at listening to what other people have to say. People often tell you about their problems. Some people are just magnets. Everybody wants to confide in that person. I always tell Tracy that's who she is. You're good, my wife. You're
Yeah.
good at picking up on how other people are feeling. You often think about how other people feel. Some folks, that is more important than the reality. I wonder what they think of me, how they feel about me. Other people come to you for advice. You feel overwhelmed by tragic events. Whew, today is the day. You try to help others who are suffering. You're good at telling people when they aren't being honest. Then you know what? There's something about that. I don't think you can, you sometimes feel drained. This is what you're speaking of. Feel drained or overwhelmed in social situations. You care deeply about other people, and you find it difficult sometimes to set boundaries in your relationships. Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that just makes me tired just listening to that. So just, so just imagine what that feels like being a deeply sensitive feeling person. And when we say empath and someone who feels empathy deeply, we're not just talking about somebody that feels the can feel another person's emotions, like okay, or you can feel that someone is angry if you are in close proximity to them, by reading body language whatsoever. But no, what we're talking about is when you are in someone's space, you can feel the emotion, you can feel the trauma, you can feel that same emotion that that person is feeling. And growing up with that, you don't know what that is, and you get kind of labeled as, fragile or overly sensitive. So I actually wanted to talk about something that I learned about not too long ago called HSP, which is a highly sensitive person.
Mm.
Yeah, so I know that we're talking a lot about, empathy and not being overwhelmed, but I learned that there's actually a personality trait called HSP. It's someone who has a heightened sensitivity to physical, emotional, or social stimuli.
Mm.
This trait is not a disorder. It's part of personality and is sometimes referred to as sensory processing sensitivity, or
Mm.
SPS.
Mhm.
Yes. And it's estimated that 15 to 20% of the population are HSP.
Mm.
Yeah, so and this is brand new. I actually accidentally stumbled upon this while watching a documentary about Alanis Morissette, who oh, I love her. Like she was just the jam. Generation X. That's my that's my generation. But she was
Ah.
yes, her. Went to see her in concert. But she was talking about how being an HSP led her to being the type of artist that she is, and that it was reflected in her music, and that's why her music is so, it has highs and lows, and it's so energetic and painful. And she was talking about that she had to learn that personality trait actually comes with the necessity of deep levels of self-care and
Uh-huh.
recovery. Yeah, so that's why I'm so excited that we're talking about this also in the realm of empathy as well.
Well, what is that? You ought to know this. She was
Yes.
mom. I know that. I know about that lady. And she's right, because well, empathizing with others, believe it or not, folks, helps you learn how to regulate your own emotions, right?
Yes.
Because and it's important because it allows you to manage what you're feeling even in times of great stress without becoming overwhelmed. That's we get overwhelmed, we're walking around in a daze. Research, Makeba also suggests that our ability to regulate our own emotion influences how we respond to other people's emotions. Strengthening your own skills might be helpful if you want to boost your ability to empathize. Then you can, again, it'll help compel us to help others. I don't care what your faith or whatever it is. There's a golden rule out there: treat others as you want to be treated.
Yes.
And that applies to our emotions as well. If someone's going through something, you need to be able to help them. I don't get it when folks don't have that in them.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, and with a highly sensitive person
Mm,
or an empath, we feel like we have too much of it. And it impacts people with heightened sensitivity. Let me just tell you about the common mental health impacts. Anxiety and overwhelm. Due to overstimulation, people with HSP are more prone to feeling anxious in busy, loud, or emotionally intense environments.
mm,
As far as depression, HSPs may internalize negative feedback or absorb others' emotions, which can increase risk of depression. That's huge as far as just creating personal boundaries with people. And if you don't know that that's something that you have within yourself, you are going to tend to over regulate yourself and not realize that that's something that you need to work with and not against with your personality. Yeah, there's also burnout. The constant processing of deep emotional or sensory input can lead to exhaustion or chronic stress.
mhm.
Low, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Vince, go ahead.
No, they also call it empathy fatigue, I think. Empathy fatigue, also compassion fatigue, referring to the emotional and physical exhaustion that you could feel after repeatedly being exposed to stressful or traumatic events. You can find yourself feeling numb, powerless, you can isolate yourself, lack of energy. It can be quite devastating to your psyche. You're
Yes.
right.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. And that's why people need to know that this trait exists within the realm of empathy, because you have people like every day going to work in whatever work situation. Say you work in an environment where you work with customers that you're dealing with, heavy complaints. If
Mhm.
you are a highly sensitive person, your level of burnout at the end of the day is going to be so much more significantly higher than someone else that does not have this trait. So that's why it's important to understand this, and also to know that statistically speaking, people with HSP also grow up being misunderstood or labeled as too sensitive, and
Mhm.
that affects that individual's self-esteem, because
Mhm.
then they're made to believe that, okay, I feel like this makes me weak. Okay, this is me. And that spills over into so many other areas as far as just relationships and all kinds of other areas of life that may be impacted by that. So
Well,
absolutely.
you talk about jobs. There are particular jobs where it can really come into play when you talk about being a caregiver or being a healthcare worker. I can
Mm.
recall I was 16 working in physical therapy, had a situation with a patient where it wasn't good, and it just, I mean, I knew at that moment, because I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. I said, nope, that is not for me.
Wow.
Where it's still with me today. The feelings I had of seeing Mr. Jackson, in a compromised position, and
Oh,
then what can happen is it can turn into emotional negativity. Where
yes.
you start going against your own judgment because you're like, nope, 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 nope. So I mean, it is something that again, this word empathy that it impacts all of our lives, all of our lives. And not everybody experiences it in every situation. Some people can be more naturally empathetic in general, but then people also tend to feel more empathetic towards some people and less towards others. Some of the factors,
Right.
how you perceive that other person, how you attribute the other individual's behaviors, why you blame the other person for their own predicament. Huh? Why what you blame for the other person's predicament? Oh, you did that yourself. You did it to yourself and your own past experiences and expectations. There's a lot of examples I can use to that I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But
Right.
think about it. Think about it.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. And that's why talking about this means so much because people need more empathy. And because the people that are the harbingers of empathy are just feeling so worn down, we really need to start having this conversation because we actually need more of the thing that's being challenged right now. And I actually just wanted just to share what I got from an awesome therapeutic session where I was feeling overwhelmed with empathy from being deeply empathic and being an HSP and just feeling like I could not continue to work in a space where my entire purpose is helping others. Like
Mm,
I was actually feeling like, wow, I can't do this anymore because I can't cut off how I feel about, like, I'm taking it to bed with me. I'm dreaming about problems and it was really, really bad. And so my therapist said to me that the purpose of empathy is not to feel like it is a burden
mm,
because you are holding space for a person, because I was feeling like, well, I'm not helping them by just entering into the space with them and then not lifting them out of it. I'm just going into the space with them and then I'm sitting there. They didn't get any help. And then I'm feeling exhausted and worrying about it too. And what he told me was that the purpose of empathy is to be able to hold space for that person, feel that person's pain,
mm,
not do anything. You don't, as an empath, have to do anything except be there in that space with that person. But after you leave out of that space, you are supposed to then fill your cup back up. You are not supposed to stay in that space of feeling depleted. You are supposed to use empathy as a tool to help people and not where it feels like it's something that's burdening you down. So
mm.
when
Go
I
ahead.
heard that, game changer. It was like a fire got lit. I don't want to get emotional, but it was like a fire got lit inside me. And I also felt when he said that, I felt the physical and emotional release of
Mm.
because he held space for me in that moment. Game changer. So shout out to Black therapists. And Vince, we're gonna have to get like a bell on the show. Like whenever we like do a shout out to a Black therapist, we
I'm
need
gonna
to
hit it right now. Bang. There we go.
okay, great. His name is Wayne Faison, Faison. He's in North Carolina, and you can find him on psychologytoday.com. And he did give me his consent to shout him out because he has been just life changing in the work that I'm doing. So shout out to him.
Well, well done, Dr. Wayne. Appreciate you so much. It also reminds me, as were talking about that, when we were speaking on grief, and you talked about the tears, and then I shared with you, I was listening to a gentleman who said that, when we get sick, our bodies, we regurgitate, we throw up. It's kind of like expelling it, getting it out of you, and being an empathic person, being a good empathic person, you're helping the other person to get it out, of their system. So some of the things you can, start doing to increase your empathy skills, so work on listening without interrupting. That's tough, especially as men, we want to quickly fix things. So when Honey starts talking about a situation, we want to jump right in there. Look, she needs to be fired, or this needs to happen like this. But that's not working. That's not empathetic listening. Pay attention to body language and other types of nonverbal communication. That is, boy, people can tell you without saying a word. Try to understand people, even when you don't agree with them.
Mm.
This is a time of, boy, between,
Oh, yeah.
the different political discussions and everything. It's a
Mhm.
lot of differences being shown out here tonight. Ask people questions to learn more about them and their lives. Imagine yourselves in another person's shoes again. This is, again, increasing your empathy skills. Strengthen your connection with others to learn more about how they feel. Seek to identify the biases you already may have and how they affect your empathy for others. If you've never dealt with that race of people or those folks that work over there, maybe you need to find out really what it is that they do or how they got there, or on a regular basis, what they, and it can help you understand where they're coming from. Look for ways in which you're similar to others versus focusing on the differences all the time. That is huge right there. Huge. We're always talking about them. No, it's us. We're all in this thing together. And I'll just end with be willing to be vulnerable, opening up about how you feel. That can definitely help you in your quest to be more empathetic. And fellas, if the woman ever tells you that, this is what I'm saying. There's some of your solutions right there. You just don't care about nothing. Yes, I do, baby. Tell me how you feel.
Wait, why we gotta have that voice now? Wait,
Yo, did it change?
why we gotta have that voice?
Because it comes up, I think in a lot of relationships. And I'm not just speaking of lovey-dovey relationships.
Right.
It comes up, it's like, dude, that dude is cold. He just cold. She just cold. She don't care. Uh, you may want to change that.
Yes, yes. And that's why radical self care is so important, and not feeling like it's selfish to pour back into yourself. I just found a great podcast. Actually, it's a playlist that I wanted just to share for Black women that are out there that are struggling just with this anxiety, HSP thing right now and just feel depleted. There is a playlist on Spotify where you can also find all of our episodes of Black Mental Matters, but there is also a playlist on Spotify called Healing for Black Women. And it's about 5 hours long. And the songs and the song selection are so vibrationally deep. You just have to check it out. We need to make sure that we're taking time out, carving time out for ourselves to pour back into ourselves, especially Black women.
Mm, Well, hey, I know I'm not a Black woman, but I want to take time out for myself as well. I mean, because here's the thing: if if the importance of empathy is not just a feeling thing. It's not just. It can be a tool in your toolbox that can help you. Politicians, you know why many are successful? Because they can tell what the constituency is feeling. They may not even believe it themselves, but they can tell you that they do. And then you really, and you as the constituent say, oh, yes, he knows how they have to know how you're feeling. A good supervisor, how you're feeling can, if they're aware and what buttons to push, to be more productive. I mean, there's just so many uses in everyday life that empathy can play. And I always go back to that again, that statement, how trauma hurts and empathy heals. It can help you right within yourself, so that you don't end up stressing yourself out and things like that.
Yes, absolutely. And even empathy is important in your day to day with just how you work. And
Yeah.
even if you are a business owner, like statistics show, in fact, Dave Ramsey, the financial guru, talks about this all the time, that if you want to have a successful business, be an empathetic, compassionate person first, and
Yes.
treat your employees with compassion first. And then those other pieces will fall into place. So that's how important empathy is.
So while empathy may be lacking in some, most people are able to empathize with others in a variety of situations. And this ability to see things from another person's perspective and empathize with another's emotion plays an important role in our social lives. Um, and I want to throw in there right quick, even online, because we hear so much about cyberbullying, but then also when you send that note to someone that is an uplifting note that helps them. A lot of times we want to share if we lost someone, or we want to share, just share. And when you send just a note to them, whether it's a direct message or a post, there is a dynamic that takes place within that person that makes them feel good. See, so empathy allows us to understand others, quite often compels us to take action to relieve another person's suffering, lift them up. And that's what we should all be about in this day and age here in America and throughout the world.
Oh no, absolutely. And I like that you are kind of ending with that because that kind of makes us realize that empathy is not just about us, it's about the others, it's about other people, it's about our brothers, our sisters, it's about humanity, it's about us as a whole. So that's why this is so important, because it's not just about us, we are all in this together.
Thank you so much for that, Coach Makeba. You can learn more about Coach Makeba by going to our website. It's coachmakeba.com. And, of course, about Black Mental Matters, www.blackmentalmatters.com. It's so great to be able to share. We encourage you, if there's something you would love for us to talk about, we'd love to talk about it with you. info@blackmentalmatters.com. And what can I say? We hope to see you next time. And in the meantime, I'll be thinking about how you feel about it. And that's how I feel.